Previously on Cinema Adherent. So what do you think? Do you want to see the first Creepshow movie? The movie that scared me so much as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah?
But in Halloween.
On Halloween you want to watch Creepshow?
Yeah, and we can have a review, but it had to be very spooky.
Challenge accepted. Halloween Creepshow this year. It's on. Alright, welcome to our Halloween episode. Today we watched the 1982 anthology classic Creepshow. I paid a painfully near MSRP price to pick this up because of that little clip that you saw at the beginning. And Iris, what is your initial impression of the movie Creepshow?
It wasn't scary of the cockroach story, when there's cockroaches everywhere.
That one wasn't scary?
Yeah, that wasn't scary.
Maybe because we watched too much Billy the Exterminator? Is that why it wasn't scary?
There are hundreds of cockroaches coming out of the crevices, the appliances, and the wall voids. It's good Ilsa called me when she did, or this problem would have gotten much worse very quickly.
No, it's just like not really horror-y.
Yeah?
Except the end. It's not that much of a horror thing.
I mean, I wouldn't like to be consumed by cockroaches and have them go inside me. That sounds unpleasant.
I mean, it wasn't just that horror to my eyes because we watch a lot of Billy stuff. And also, did you know that that green stuff that went everywhere, that wasn't really a scary story too.
That one was intentionally comedic, yes.
I meant, it wasn't that scary, but it was a little bit.
So that one is kind of a thought-provoking scary story. The story itself is a little silly, with, of course, Stephen King playing the kind of slow gas station owner.
No.
The idea is that there's no escape. He touched this alien item and this stuff's growing everywhere and there's nothing he can do because it's already inside his body. You saw he was touching his tongue at the beginning, so it was already inside of him. He knew he was gonna die. So that was the scary part, was that there was nothing he could do. He was just slowly turning into an alien plant. So it's like the impending fear of doom. Also kind of the fear of the unknown, kind
it's
of a little
like,
blob.
It's not like scary to even watch it, but it's just scary in a few things.
I always think about that particular story every time I watch. I don't watch it a lot. Every time I see Joe Dirt on.
What a lie!
Remember Joe Dirt found that meteor? I always think about the story from Creepshow.
Why?
Well, because they were both going to take it to the college to sell it.
I wonder how much they'd pay for it up to college. Wonder how much they'd pay for it up to college.
No way I'd ever sell you, Meteor. Not in a million years. But just for laughs, let's see how much you're worth.
Unfortunately for Stephen King, it consumed him alive, and unfortunately for poor Joe Dirt, it was an airplane bomb.
No, that can't be. That's not what it is.
No, afraid so. You see the peanut?
You ate off of that. But we didn't come here today to talk about Joe Dirt. We came here to talk about Creepshow. Now, you've seen Creepshow 2 and Creepshow 1. Of those two movies, which one was better?
This one.
You like this one better than the first one? Or
Yeah,
is
and
it- the second
also,
one?
as you said, it was really scary. It wasn't that scary to me.
So, I saw this as a kid who didn't really watch horror movies. I mean, this might have been one of the first horror movies I ever saw. Also, times have changed a little bit since I saw this. This has definitely got a very 70s horror movie feel to it. And you've seen a lot more recent stuff, so I'm sure it didn't quite strike you quite as scary as it struck a similarly aged me in the past. What's going on? What are you looking at? Is there a cockroach? So of course, one of the things I really like about this movie is it's got 5 stories. And kind of all-star cast for those 5 stories. We have the birthday story at the beginning, the spurned lovers, Stephen King with the meteor, the crate, and we finish off with, I think, yeah, probably the weakest story, which is the bugs. I don't know the names of any of these, but I've definitely put them on screen as I've said this. Or maybe I haven't, and now I look like an idiot. I'm not sure. But, so, 5 stories. Which one did you like the best?
The cockroach and the voodoo doll thing. It's kind of like a story.
You said you didn't like, you thought it wasn't scary. Why? You like that one the best, the cockroach one?
Just because I just like spraying stuff in.
Okay.
And stuff everywhere.
Can't choose the wraparound. You can't choose the voodoo doll. Pick a different story.
Because that's
Can't
kind
choose the wraparound. That's like choosing Fred Savage as the best part of The Princess Bride, when we all know it's the ROUSs.
What about the ROUSs?
Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
What was your favorite story besides the cockroach one?
the birthday.
So you like the first and the last story the best. So interesting choice with the Happy Birthday as your second favorite. That one has a very old school horror, like gothic feel to it. And I've always kind of thought that the father,
Let me talk.
like the zombie father, really looked like the zombie from Return of the Living Dead. With the whole, you kind of see the skeleton in his face. Obviously, it was way thicker because it was a guy in a suit. They didn't go the extra mile to choose a thin mime.
Where's my cake?
I definitely relate to that zombie. I might come back and want cake after I'm dead. It's very possible. That might be the one thing I'm back. Especially if you kill me on Father's Day, Iris.
Happy Father's Day!
My favorite. Can you guess what my favorite are? I'm just curious if you know what my favorite would be.
The monkey story?
That is my favorite. How did you know that?
Because there's you like horror stuff. That's why I could think of
Yeah.
It took me a little while.
That is a fun creature.
I thought like I'll never know what it is, and then it was like,
Well, you're right. The evil monkey is my favorite one from the movie. That I have a vivid memory of being your age, watching this on VHS from the rental store, and having to turn it off. I had to stop it during that episode because I was just so scared when he's like banging his wife against the box. And he's trying to get the monkey to come out and eat her. I remember I had to stop it for a while and like walk away and come back when I was a kid.
Stop it, Harry! I'll scream!
Scream all you want. I'll help you. Wake up! Wake up! Whatever you are, wake up! Wake up! Dinner time!
because it was too scary.
It was too scary. Because my parents didn't watch horror movies with me. They would be like, they'd let me do it by myself. They were not interested at all. So,
It's like the Home Alone kid
yeah.
doing stuff by
So it
himself.
was a little on the extra scary side. My other favorite is probably the Stephen King one. He is acting really goofy when he finds that meteor, but I just kind of was into the idea of this thing that was hurtling through space that just, it fell on a planet and just started growing. This is a cool sci-fi premise.
It's like an alien like dropped it on a planet and it wanted it to spread all around the world.
Yeah, like an alien terraforming the planet. I'm sure we're
Like an
looking like way
alien.
too deep into it, but
Well, that's Vera luck, all right. Always in, always bad.
so it seems like of all the ones we've talked about, though, there's definitely one standout for the weakest episode, and I think growing up, I probably agreed with this one, was the scorned lovers, buried up to their necks in sand, and that image is definitely in my brain every time I go to the beach, and if you like bury your legs or something, I always think about Creepshow and being buried up to your neck in sand.
When I always wanted to go to the beach, before that, I was always thinking about burying myself in the sand.
Don't do it. Remember what happened in Creepshow. So even though I wasn't as into that episode, I've definitely thought about it to the point where I do have a contingency plan just in case I'm ever in a similar situation, and that would be to kind of pull the sand to my feet and slowly bend my legs so that I would have some leverage to pop out. That's my plan if anybody ever buries me in the sand at gunpoint. Pop out of the sand. Anyway. Did you learn any lessons from this movie, Iris? Anything, any big takeaways?
I do.
Such as? Don't kill your father.
Don't touch something, and lick your fingers. Stuff.
Oh yeah, very good, especially in today's climate. And there was the guy, he had the mask on at the last episode. That was way before anything today. He was just being super germ-phobic. Almost to the point of laughability in the 80s. Not so much the case anymore. And one final question for you. What do you think kids would think about this movie? Do you think kids would like this movie?
Kids will like the not scary stuff.
The,
I mean, like girls.
The not scary stuff's a little boring in this movie, don't you think? You like the love stuff, or what?
I was saying the not scary stuff, the girls might like, or, and the boys will like the scary stuff.
Did you like that skeleton creature that was in the window at the very beginning of the movie that was like waving at the kid?
Yeah.
That was made out of a real skeleton.
What?
It was made out of a real skeleton.
Oh.
I watched the special features. There's a documentary about this called Just Desserts that I have that
I'm trying
is
to
very
act like the
interesting.
kid right now. I want to watch that part.
So I can probably cue it up for you. The documentary Just Desserts is fascinating for someone learning how to make movies, but for people wanting to be entertained by behind the scenes stuff, it's probably a little slow, to tell you the truth, and maybe a little bit of a thick watch. Alright, and that wraps up our review of Creepshow, and I'll be back to talk about special features in just a second.
And I swear to God, if you ever touch me...
Alright, and we are back. So a little bit of history about Creepshow on disc in the US. This was the only release you could get pretty much in the US. It's been out since the dawn of the format, and its sole special features are interactive menus and theatrical trailer. And as you can imagine, with the disc coming out, you know, very close to the dawn of DVD, the picture quality in this not that great nowadays, especially compared to the new 4K restoration they did for this release. Scream Factory really went above and beyond on picture quality. I'm going to put up some comparisons here so you can take a look, but looks amazing. It's just like drenched in color and really pops on your TV. Now, remember, I've had to capture these and re-encode them and then re-encode them again to get them to you, so you're not seeing it quite as good as it actually looks in real life right here, but suffice to say, it is quite an improvement. So this release from Scream Factory also comes in a nice collectible case here. It's a hard case, and inside you get a normal Blu-ray case with reversible art as you would expect, and a nice little essay book. Now there was a special edition DVD that did come out in the UK. They got Tom Savini and George Romero audio commentary and amazing behind-the-scenes featurettes. Everything in that release has been ported to this with one notable exception, which I'll talk about when the time comes. And you know, the first thing I always talk about with special features is, of course, those audio commentaries. My favorite special features on any release is usually the audio commentary, and there are 4 on here. That's right, 4 audio commentaries. It's getting up to the Matrix level of overkill special features with this release. Now, one of the audio commentaries is from that previously mentioned UK DVD release. It's got George Romero and Tom Savini. 2 more are with various crew members. And the last one's kind of a weird one. It's not actually an audio commentary. It plays as an audio commentary track on the movie, but it is a collection of interviews dealing with people that had been less covered in the other special features. One thing to note on special features is you are going to be hearing some of the same stories a couple of times, like 4 times. And you might get a little bit annoyed with the red shirt media guy, because you can see him learn factoids in previous audio commentaries that happened like 10 years ago, and then he does another audio commentary 10 years later, 13 years later, He's not thinking about that previous audio commentary, and he's bringing up the stuff that person might have just listened to an hour ago. I guess really most people don't sit down and just straight watch the special features through. So that's not really going to affect most people watching this disc. But for me, you know, going through every single special feature, I did get a little annoyed with Robert Fleischer, is that his name? And his constant bringing up of the same stuff over and over again. Now, Robert Fleischer, notable because he did the big documentary, Just Desserts, which not included on this set, but available from Severn. And really, if you pick this up and this up, you will have a preponderance of story and behind the scenes, so much so that you'll probably take a decade break from Creepshow. And that's probably what I'm going to do at this point after watching all this, because there's just too much. There's too much Creepshow. I feel like I could go make the movie now. Although it probably wouldn't be as good, but it'd probably be better than Creepshow 3. So there's that. Now, of those 4 commentaries, the legacy commentary with Romero and Tom Savini is the best one. That's the one that, quite frankly, if you're going to watch one commentary, watch that one. The second commentary, again with Mr. Fleischer as the moderator, skip that. Now, the third audio commentary with the director of photography of all things, I actually liked really good. You know, for not having names in it, like, you know, Tom Savini and George Romero, he was really interesting to listen to. I really liked his stories, especially compared to the other 3 commentaries. That last audio commentary, by the way, is a port from the Just Desserts disc, and there are a couple special features that come over from this and from that UK release onto the new Scream Factory release, but the vast majority of this is not on the Scream Factory release. So if you're really, really into this movie, you gotta pick up Just Desserts. It's a really good meld of vintage behind-the-scenes footage with retrospective interviews. Highly recommended if you liked Creepshow. Aside from those audio commentaries, there's also several featurettes featuring cast and crew in various retrospective interviews and discussions, the best of which being a roundtable discussion that features the actor from Martin, which you can hardly tell anymore that that's him. He played the father in Father's Day. You have Tom Atkins and one of the person... Oh, Tom Savini. I almost blanked on Tom Savini there. Along with one of the person who I'm pretty sure is the Just Desserts guy, because he's everywhere in this documentary. Now, a couple more interesting features on there as well. There's one with an obsessive fan who's collected several key pieces of memorabilia from the movie. There's Horror's Hallowed Grounds. I always love his featurettes. I know you can see them other places, but it's really fun to watch those right after the movie. I love seeing how things have changed over time, especially when it's always, 30, 40 years later and they just barely look the same sometimes, and sometimes they're totally different. Highly recommend his featurettes. Aside from that, there is vintage behind-the-scenes making of stuff, which is in the documentary Just Desserts, so it plays a little better in the documentary than it does just straight here, but it's fun to watch too. And of course there's deleted scenes. Not all the deleted scenes, unfortunately. They do talk about a couple of deleted scenes in the audio commentaries that are not in the segment deleted scenes, but hey, it's something. And I think, if I'm really being objective, a lot of the stuff from my least favorite episode is probably some of the best stuff cut from the movie, but I already thought that episode kind of dragged anyway. But I don't think it would have been a detriment to that story to add these deleted scenes back in. Obviously, as they are now, they're not really watchable in the traditional sense. It looks like a third generation VHS dub. Probably skippable for the most part. I did enjoy seeing a few more of those little interesting vignettes, though, which is one of kind of the hallmarks of Creepshow, of course. And to round all that out, of course, we get our throwaway special features, which are our trailers, our image galleries, our radio spots, all of that jazz on this disc for your perusement, if you so desire. I don't think a lot of people watch those. I gave them a watch. But really, by that point, I've consumed so much Creepshow that I kind of feel like a crew member, and it's just a little too much for me. There's no background music for the slideshows. I know sometimes I complain about that, but having heard the same song over and over again on several of the special features, I'm okay with there being no sound on these particular... Why am I going so slow? I'm okay with there being no background music on these image galleries. Alright, and to sum it up, great release from Scream Factory. A little sad I had to pay almost $30, or maybe more than $30. Let's not think about that. Great release, fantastic upgrade over the DVD, tons of special features, and if you're really into Creepshow, you gotta pick up the release from Severin. I've been saying Severin this whole time. I mean Synapse. The release from Synapse just desserts. Great retrospective documentary on the subject, and I think that about wraps it up. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and have a great day. Oh, and
Happy Halloween!